get an income. Today the audience should know that artists and designers generate their income from their work. It's not that we are employed and some money comes to our account every month and we just do art for a hobby. I mean, you can ask them, whoever has a side job, then fine, this is applied. But me and I know many, we got our income from what we sell. If we sell this, we got our income from.
I've got loads of points. But I actually don't agree that most clients here are looking to invest in art financially. You would be amazed, but the majority of the collections that we've helped build at Meme and in my previous roles are for people who really are collecting art because they think it is good and they want to build a collection that is important and, you know, has a reference point. Occasionally you get a client that says, how much do you think this will be worth in 5 years? And I always say, nothing. Because you have to be prepared that that's the case. And you should, of course, only buy it if you really love it. But people do follow trends. I would say just at the gallery, it's really unusual to get asked that question in Dubai. Saying that, I think education is a really important point. And I don't mean like a sort of Orientalist education. I mean, you know, people aren't used to buying art, maybe. So they just need an easy way to do that, an accessible manner in which to do that, which is why consultancies do really well here and interior firms, because, you know, a hotel might not know where to start with what type of art is relevant here. But actually one of the only hotel projects I ever did was with the Four Seasons in Jumeirah Beach, and they had the best sort of view on art with any sort of commercial project that I've worked on. They really looked for important works from this region that sort of referenced the market and Dubai as a whole. So, yeah.
Okay, Roland?
I think the very important thing is, as a designer, we always say that, you know, we always sell. There's a difference between looking at an artist and a designer. Perhaps there's a quite blurred in how also some clients look at us. Sometimes they want something, the approach is design, but they want to have you, the persona of an artist. So that's more valuable for them. The approach is design, and they kind of capitalize on the idea that, hey, by the way, our currency is ideas. And then we give them to them, but we must have this persona of an artist, so you're more valuable. Sometimes we kind of reach that position that, hey, I'm gonna give you a commission, but you have to give me ideas and we can help us out. The client, between me and the client, has to kind of brainstorm and put an endpoint on something. There must be a result. But you have to wear two hats. You have to be a designer and an artist as well. So it can be publicized as well as an artist. That's more valuable for us. Sometimes it's kind of tricky for us, you know.
You do get some establishments, we've done work with banks where they do buy investment pieces. We have to do the research, we have to put it together, and we put a collection to them, and they're buying it, it goes in their, you know, their wealth. But it's part of their assets. So we do get sometimes asked, not very often, but we do get asked sometimes to put together a collection purely for investment.
You haven't bought any Damien Hirsts recently, have you?
No, but I
No
was
one
offered
has.
one. I was offered one.
Really?
I had an email, there's a Picasso flying around town at the moment.
Was that in Karama?
Probably.
Because don't buy that one. Definitely don't buy that one. How do you find difficulty, and I want you to answer this last, and maybe you last. Do you find difficulty with artists pricing their work?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, I do find difficulty with the artists. And actually, especially when I'm working in commercial projects, when I first moved to Dubai, I was working in a part of a project which is a hotel. And we found this amazing artist who does sculptures from Belgium, and we spoke to him, we got the quotation presented to the client. The client did not accept it, but then he got the contractor to do that sculpture. And that was heartbreaking, and I was new to Dubai. I was like, how is this possible? No one's suing this guy, what's happening here? The artist was calling me, and what's been done, and it was a mess, and I was very surprised that that was done. don't, obviously it's a long case if you wanted to, the 5 differences to intellectual property, or that would never go anywhere. But it did happen. It's quite obvious that it was a copy, and that happened here. So I struggle with that, because I never get from the client, or the client himself doesn't know what the budget is, so I never know what the budget is. Then I start talking to artists, then it's heartbreaking for the artist, that's heartbreaking for me, they've invested their time, so have I, and then we have to so-called value engineer the pieces and downgrade and go to other sources. Yes, I think so.
I think another point is commissioning the artist from the beginning. So that's where the client then actually falls in love with the piece from the start. So it's very difficult for them to get rid of that from down to budget. It's part of the design. So for instance, what we do usually for like villas or even commercial offices, we design a wall, we do the specifications, we dictate the design, the wood finishes and all of that. But at the same time, we actually built in the artwork there. It's not just a 3D render, it's an actual art piece, even a sculpture. So that is from the beginning commissioned. The artist is part of our design. And that kind of leads the client to be attached to that art piece and they've invested their time, they've selected it. The artist is there from the start working together. It's like getting lighting consultants, landscapes. This is your art consultant, this is your artist from the start. And that will help a lot, I guess.
Yes, I think so. As long as, I think it's important for clients to understand that they need to allow a certain realistic budget for art.
Yes. But the question is more about artists pricing their work, and we have a huge problem with this.
The artists, I guess, when you bring them in from the beginning, true, they kind of say their price from the start. They have a proposal, they say this is what it's going to cost you. So when the client is attached to that price from the start, they kind of like accept it. But like you said, going and choosing the right artist from the beginning, and how do you get that is tricky.
We've got 2 problems. One, we've got, I got one the other day actually, an email from a British artist. This is my price in the UK, however it's Dubai, so I'll double it. So we said, no, it's not paid for gold, that's ridiculous. We get a lot of emails from unknown artists saying, help me price it, which we can't do that. But we get emails where the artwork is okay, it's nice, but they've got no experience. They've not exhibited, they've sold to 2 family members who paid far too much because they were encouraging them, and all of a sudden they're charging me 6,000 dirhams for a piece of artwork that they'd be lucky to get, 600. And we really...
Because it's Dubai.
It's because it's Dubai, and it's just this inflated bubble. One of the best pieces I ever bought, it was in Brick Lane Market in London for 20 quid from an art student, and it's brilliant. And I see so much artwork come across my desk, and some of it's good, but it's not worth what they're asking for because they've got no track record of who they are, and it's like you were saying.
How do you advise them then? What is
with
your
difficulty? It's really difficult because you've got to explain, look, artist A can charge X amount because he's been doing this for 5 years, he's in this particular project, he's sold X amount at this exhibition, so there's a little bit of history. You've just started painting, whether you were trained or not, you've got to then slowly, so every time, we have a rule, every 5 pieces you've sold, increase it by the price by 10% and very slowly go up. But you can't just go in really, really high and then wonder why you're not selling anything.
Do you know what I've noticed? That some people feel they have to position themselves high to give that exclusiveness, that you feel like you're actually spending so much and it's a unique piece. Whereas clients sometimes, if you sell them a painting which is like 200 dirhams as opposed to 20,000, they appreciate the 20,000. It's the same work, but it's a whole mindset. Yeah. So
our clients are so controlled by budget, we don't actually have that problem, but I wish we did.
Yeah. So maybe for like the residential, for like Mena.
Yeah. But even residential, quite often there's just what we call wall fillers. There's just a few pieces. They might have 2, we've just done one now where we had 2 or 3 investment pieces. One was even Tracy Emin, but the rest is wall fillers. Where it's 1,000 dirhams, for a print that's been finished.
No problem. I am shocked that you would tell an artist to raise their price by 10% after selling 5 works. Outrageous
It's just an example.
Actually, have spent the last 10 years of my life pricing artwork, so I feel pretty qualified to answer the question. All art does have a price, but people are generally not happy with what their art is worth.
Yeah.
You know, when an artist is having a retrospective at a museum and their pieces are $150,000 and they have a track record of 35 years of auctions and exhibitions, it's very easy to price their